Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day RainWatch update brought to you by resupply.co.nz. Let's get into the forecast because we've got a bit of a change coming this weekend and in fact over the days ahead. Northerly winds still blowing through as we come in towards the end of Friday for those of you on the northeastern side of the North Island. This is clearing away eastwards, blocked by high pressure, but that high pressure zone is also drifting eastwards. So the wet weather is in that northerly wind and that is all gradually moving along to the east. And behind it, a few showers, but a change to cooler west to southwest winds. Not as humid. High humidity at the moment, obviously, around the top part of the country. It's been nationwide for the last few days. And as we go through Friday, a bit more of a refreshing change coming through for you. Some of you will be happy about that with the overnight lows dropping a number of degrees over the next couple of days. Let's have a look at the departure from normal. 7-day rainfall. How much wetter or drier is it compared to usual for this time of the year? Look at Australia, massive red zone reappearing there like we saw back in summer. Some of the rain up in the north has been drifting out towards New Zealand, but it breaks apart in the next 7 days. So where you see red, white and pink, those areas are either normal rainfall or drier than usual, and the blue is wetter than usual. So we do still see some blue at the north of the country here and around the northwest corner of the South Island, but keep in mind some of that might be the rain that is already falling today, Friday. Let's have a look at the autumn outdoor tips. So autumn and spring, the best time to get your soil testing done. Your results will be more accurate at this time of the year when the soil isn't too wet or too dry. If the soil's waterlogged from rain or extremely dry from drought, it basically gives you misleading results when you do the testing. So that's why the forecast at the moment is much better for soil testing. And so for everything soil and pasture related, please visit our supporters there at resupply.co.nz. We've got some rain on the way. Let's have a look at the 7-day rainfall map to make sense of it all. We'll start off with the current version. This shows rain that's falling today, Friday. So we've got some heavier falls around the top of the North Island and still the top of the South Island. Let's animate this for the rest of the days because we've got to go through the weekend and into next week to make more sense of it. And you see that western sort of lean to it. And then at the end of next week, a little burst of rain from the north. So westerlies to begin with over the next few days. And then maybe a week from now, we're looking at another low pressure zone from the north. Look at the eastern areas though. Blues and greens, bottom of the scale, only a little bit of wet weather coming through for those areas. And to be honest with you, soil moisture levels in the east are a bit wet at the moment. So this is a balancing act as far as I'm concerned. So we'll talk about that northern low at the end of this because it's next Friday that we might, got to stress that, might be seeing. But here's how we look this evening. There's that wet weather. The more tropical, subtropical airflow is in the northeastern corner of the North Island. Still a bit windy for you guys, but it eases back further around the North Island. Still a little windy around central New Zealand as we sort of transition into the westerly wind and then the southwesterly wind that's coming on through. And the storm that started all this will be well south of New Zealand by tonight. And by lunchtime Saturday, that front is moving out to sea with the humid weather with it coming in over the Chatham Islands, and then eventually into the afternoon, even the Chatham Islands gets that change for the westerly winds. So most of New Zealand, typical kind of autumn Saturday, typical April Saturday with a few showers, westerly winds here and there, nothing too strong coming through the country, perhaps a bit of a southerly change coming into Wellington for a time. Although Wellington's always interesting, it can be a westerly or a southerly, it's usually nowhere in between there with the sou'westers, which you don't get because of the Southern Alps. Here's Sunday. Westerly winds blowing through. So around the capital, it'll be a windy nor'wester coming in here for you. Showers along the western side will increase for the North Island into the afternoon. And we've got rain and showers around the west coast. Most other places are dry and fairly mild. And some of this windy weather is being generated by this big storm down near Antarctica. That storm's not coming anywhere near us. You'll see on Monday though, directly south of New Zealand, that's that low pressure zone off the map, off the screen. All the isobars come all the way up to the northern part of New Zealand. So everybody on Monday feels those westerly winds. They're not necessarily strong everywhere, but they'll be blowing through. Eastern areas should be sunnier as a result of that. A few showers still coming into the west and rain here for Westland, and that will move up the coast as we go into Monday and Monday night, because the blue line here measures air thickness. So when you see that blue line come northwards, there is colder air behind it that you will feel. You'll noticeably feel that change. And that is likely on Tuesday for the lower half of the South Island. Typical autumn forecast here for you. windy, changeable weather around New Zealand. A burst of showers coming into the North Island with a cold front, and in the South Island showers as well, with a drop in temperatures and a dusting of snow here and there around the mountains and ranges. And by Wednesday, the cold change has moved out to the east. It's over the Chatham Islands, and in comes the next big high pressure system. Now, for those of you who watched my Climate Watch update this week for the April forecast, one of the things I talked about was how up here in the tropics, where we measure La Nina and El Nino, that remains neutral at the moment. Similar story in the Indian Ocean with the IOD. And in the Southern Ocean, SAM, Southern Annular Mode, measures kind of like how rough the windy weather is and how far north it might be going or how far south that might be going. And that's also kind of in a neutral phase. So basically, we're not seeing anything too kind of out of the ordinary at the moment affecting New Zealand's weather. And as we go through next week, the next big thing we'll notice is returning to settled, dry weather due to the high pressure belt. But unlike a couple of months ago, there's gaps now between the highs. So they're not all just linked together, blocking every single rainmaker. And the two areas that New Zealand gets rain from, when we get high pressure clearing away from us, one can be dropping down from the tropics or in the Tasman Sea, and the other one is coming out of the Southern Ocean and coming up. So there's a gap at the end of this high, and as we move towards the end of next week here on Friday, are we going to be seeing some kind of tropical low? This isn't locked in yet, but some of the computer modelling for days now has been showing a low pressure zone around the Coral Sea and the northern Tasman Sea. Whether this happens and lines up with New Zealand or heads off more towards Aussie or even remains out at sea, that's still not locked in. But we're monitoring this one closely. Big storms in the Southern Ocean aren't affecting us just yet, but they will be bringing in some windier weather for Tassie and maybe next weekend to the lower part of New Zealand. But the high comes in middle of next week, and that is the dominant feature as we go in towards next weekend. All right, before I go, please do pick up a copy of the New Zealand Listener from your local dairy or your local supermarket. They're not paying me to promote them. I want to promote it because this is a fantastic story written by Paul Gorman, amazing journalism from an amazing journalist. This is all about what is going on between NIWA and Met Service, his comment here that he posted on X, talking about just sort of what has gone on, why did we get to this point, and it's quite a remarkable story with some pretty, I think, alarming things about what NIWA is doing and how the government just sort of has not been monitoring this at all and letting it get a bit carried away. Pick up a copy of The Listener. That's my little plug for this week. Have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll see you again next week.